Hello, hello, and welcome to Art Snack. Art Snack is that time of day when we take just a short break from our hectic schedules to talk about art. My name is Jennylynd James. I'm an artist who enjoys painting in acrylic and making my characters come alive on the canvas. I'm also the creator of the online course called Succeeding as a Fine Artist: Guidance, Tips, and Strategies. This course is offered on Udemy. The link is in the description box. It's ideal for the emerging artists, helping you create a business selling your art. I also encourage you to hit that subscribe button so you can be notified every time we interview an exciting artist here on Art Snack. With me today, all the way from Trinidad and Tobago, is Gabriella D'Abreau. Hello, Gabriella.
Hi, thanks for having me here.
And thanks so much for joining us on Art Snack. Well, Gabriella, tell us a bit about your journey as an artist. How did you know that you wanted to paint and draw and create?
Sure. So, every time I get asked this question, I always say, I never decided to be an artist. I've always thought of myself as an artist.
Yes.
Even as a young kid, I remember, even as young as in primary school,
yes,
I would, be sneaking off in my notebooks to just, draw a sketch during the middle of class. And eventually that kind of rolled into me being really interested in sketching the human figure and clothes. So I kind of had this aspiration when I was a young kid of being a fashion designer, because I was so interested in that kind of a thing.
Yes.
But when I was introduced to acrylic paint in secondary school, that's when my real love for art really came forward,
Right.
Because I loved paints. Poster paint that we learned about in primary school wasn't it, but acrylic paints, I had a total love for it as soon as I was introduced to it.
Yes.
And at that phase, when I was in the secondary school phase, I thought of myself, I really wanted to be an illustrator.
Okay.
I didn't even know what an illustrator was. I just kind of thought that's what I wanted to be.
Yes.
Because my style was very stylistic. It wasn't really realistic. And I just had this image in my head of illustrating storybooks. That was my aspiration.
Excellent. Yes, yes.
And so I eventually, after secondary school, actually went to study illustration. I studied at a liberal arts college in New York called St. John's University. And so I actually have a degree in illustration. Illustration. But as time passed, I actually feel a lot stronger about my passion for fine art than illustration, even though I am still interested. I'm still an illustrator at heart. So a lot of the work that I would show here is that fine art work. But I never really decided to be an artist. I've always envisioned myself as an artist. I've always been a creative soul, as I tell people. So even though I consider myself mostly a visual artist, I really do like all creative forms. I enjoy writing, I enjoy, singing in my space. I'm by myself. But I am very much a creative soul. I'm very interested in all the
Well, thank you so much for that lively introduction. And, Gabrielle, tell me a bit about this work of art.
Sure, no problem. So this was a piece that I created. To be honest, I started this about 2 years ago, but I actually completed it last year.
Okay.
Not because it actually took that length of time, but it's how I work process-wise. I tend to work in batches, and I come and go between pieces. So this was one of the pieces I started, and I kind of put aside for a while. It wasn't really speaking to me after a certain point, and I kind of just let it take a little break, and I came back to it last year.
Okay.
So the piece has a three-dimensional effect, and I think you could kind of see that with the almost the face in front. And that actually was created very simply with a paper mache mask.
Okay.
And it was just adhered to a canvas surface.
Yes.
And I painted both the background before I placed the mask so that the canvas wouldn't show through.
Right.
And then I actually painted the mask. And then I painted the surrounding, the visual surrounding it. When I first initially painted it, it was it was not quite as a lot of movement like what you're seeing here. It was very like just a face and like the floral element. And I just felt like it was feeling kind of static, and I wanted to bring some movement in it. So that's how it ended up with the hair moving and, you know, that kind of swirling.
And what is the idea behind the mask?
So she kind of represents a Mother Nature figure, and I do tend to use that kind of figure in numerous pieces. A lot of strong female figures I use, and they're all like they're either resting or they have a more powerful gaze.
Right.
And really, she's meant to represent like nature, Mother Nature, as well as, you know, the presence of God, basically, the presence of God within nature.
Beautiful work. Thank you. Let's see another sample of your work. Please tell me about this one.
This is actually one of my favorite, more recent pieces.
Yes.
And I began this piece about 2 years ago. I completed it last year again. And this was during, actually, I was now starting back painting after I'd experienced quite a bit of an artist's kind of, you know, a struggle to paint, you know, a struggle to work.
Right.
And it was one of the first pieces I started back working on. And I was just painting for the fun of it, not really thinking too much about the process.
Okay.
And I was just painting with color initially, just letting the colors merge and having fun with that. And after I had covered the whole surface, I really felt like I wanted more contrast, more depth. And so I started to incorporate a black line with it. And my intention...
What medium is it?
So it's acrylic paint at the bottom and actually black ink on top of the acrylic.
Okay.
Yeah. So my intention was to cover the whole surface with the black ink and the pattern. And then as I was doing it, I put it aside one night and I just looked at it and I was like, well, this is complete. This is perfect. And I really liked that it didn't cover the whole surface. The title of this piece is Connected. And it kind of shows, you know, how, to me, it's about like how we are all connected, but at the same time, we kind of have our own there's a separation still. There's still you and I, even though we may engage and interact, you know, we all are different human beings. And this was actually during like the height of the pandemic, And so I was thinking a lot about isolation and the concept of being together and being apart. And so, that was a lot what have motivated the process.
This piece. Okay, thank you. Now tell me about this. This is a beautiful, interesting piece too, with a female figure.
Yes, this is actually one of my favorite pieces from my more recent collection. She is supposed to be like a phoenix type figure.
Okay.
And so I've been toying with the idea of a visual for quite some time of a phoenix, both in painting and also like even thinking of as a personal symbol, for myself.
Yes.
But I'm drawn to the idea of a phoenix, but a phoenix to me always felt like a really harsh symbol, like the spirit that's on fire. And I always felt like I love the visual, but I wanted something, a softening of the visual. And so I thought of starting off as a phoenix and ending in the visual of a peacock, almost like a peacock, because a peacock has a more feminine, gentle, softer feel to it. So I wanted to combine those two visuals of something more fierce and more powerful with something a bit more feminine and gentle.
Okay, beautiful work, beautiful.
Thank you so much.
And this piece
so this piece is I like to think of it as my rebellion piece. So this piece I really just kind of wanted, like in true essence, to splatter paint around without any intention, without any thought process.
Right, just using color.
Just using color and just be expressive and have fun with the paint.
Yes.
Without trying to make it be anything.
Right.
And this is so like totally opposite of how I would have worked in the past. So a lot of the work that we're discussing now is abstract, and I never used to paint abstract.
Abstract, yeah. I know what you're saying. I experimented with abstract myself last year, and it was quite liberating, actually.
Yeah, yes. So this piece. That is how I would describe this piece. Very liberating.
Yes.
And I ended up titling it "In Chaos There Is Peace."
Oh,
so
I like that title. Great title.
Yeah. Yeah. I was feeling dramatic, clearly, but I really enjoyed making this. This was a fun for me piece.
Yes, definitely. And I love the colors. The use of colors is very beautiful with the chaos, you know.
Yes, I'm a big fan of bright colors, and I think sometimes people are not accustomed to that. Like, even though we are in the Caribbean and there is a certain palette of bright colors, I think the level of bright colors is sometimes it takes people a little bit to get accustomed to, because it's not really. I use a lot of fluorescents and bright neons.
Right, yes, neon, pinks and yellows. Very pretty. Thank you. Now, tell me about this
one. So all the pieces we're talking about today were actually part of a collection that I exhibited last year, right? It was my last exhibition. And when we were displaying the work, what had happened is we realized that there were gaps visually in the space. So sometimes as artists, what we don't think about is the space when we're displaying our work. We just think about creating this body of work. And then after, so when we put everything out, there was an empty space. And we were a couple of days before opening. And I was encouraged to see if I can create something to fill the space. And honestly, I'm not a person who likes to paint now. For now, I normally are I take my time with my pieces. But this one, I actually felt inspired because of the space that was left there and how the artwork was flowing in the gallery.
Yes.
And so I literally started by just creating a textured background. Playing with the paint and the colors, like similar to the other piece.
Right.
But then as I painted, I just felt like a face wants to be here. That it's literally like the painting was speaking to me. A face wants to be here. And I just started very intuitively to paint the face in. And this piece really, it honestly was a pleasure to create. Now, it came to me very quickly and easily. It wasn't something like, there are always those pieces where you feel like you're battling against this painting. And you just can't. It's just
finish it, and you have to come back to it. Right.
This was not one of those at all. I really enjoyed the process. And I would say, if I'm very honest with you, this is one of my favorite pieces from the whole exhibition at the end of it. So it's quite amazing how that happens, because it was not an intended piece.
Right.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Now we have time for one more.
Okay, great. Perfect. Yes. So this painting was one of the last ones I also did in that collection as well.
Yes.
And I had actually purchased what you call a watercolor canvas. And I didn't even know that watercolor canvases existed at the time.
Right.
When I saw it, I was so excited to try watercolor on the canvas. And so I did that, and I actually did not like how the watercolor played on the canvas, for me personally. And I still liked the effect of the watercolor, but I felt like it wasn't really going to be able to be built up with the watercolor. And so I decided to take some oil pastels, which I had recently purchased, and color on top of the watercolor that I painted on the canvas.
Right.
And I just loved how it looked, because you were still seeing the watery color effect in the background, and you were getting these very rich saturated colors with the oil pastel on top of it. And this was really, honestly, a pleasure. I just wanted for this piece to create the sense of almost like the movement of fire or flames.
Yes.
And so that was what
it does look like flames. It looks like flames. And so the oil pastels, were they the neon colors? Which colors?
They were. I had recently seen them in an art store, and I picked them up. I hadn't used them yet.
Yes.
And I said, well, now was a perfect opportunity to use them. And it was wonderful. I really enjoyed it. I hadn't used oil pastels. I'm not in years.
Right.
So this was a fun piece.
Right, right. Well, thank you so much for sharing your work with us today.
Sure.
Gabriella, tell me about a recent exhibition that you staged in Trinidad.
Sure. So I hosted my very last exhibition last year. It ran from the end of September into October.
Yes.
And it was located at Arnhem's Galleria. So the title of the exhibition was called The Art of Surrender. And I basically titled it that for multiple reasons. But one of the main reasons was me kind of like surrendering a bit to the art process, because I had just come out of a huge artist block that actually lasted several years. In all honesty, lasted about
really?
5 years. I haven't really been actively painting.
Yes.
I was painting ever so often, but not consistently.
Okay.
And it was during one of the lockdown periods of the pandemic that I got the opportunity to have more time on my hands.
Of course.
And I was using, so my art of surrender was really surrendering to my creativity and allowing myself total freedom. Yes. So in this exhibition, I kind of explored a lot more abstract, because it was a lot more of a freeing process to create than the past ways I would have painted, which was a lot more methodical. And so this collection was over 50 paintings, and they were really mostly abstract and some figurative work. And how I could best describe it is that brightly colored, high contrast, and very emotive pieces.
Right, right. And then what about this year now, 2023? Any plans for 2023?
So I do not have any plans for an exhibition this year. Perhaps next year is a possibility. But the reason why I'm not having an exhibition this year is really twofold. One is because I have learned in the past that artist burnout is a really real thing, and pushing myself to create a body of work consistently back to back, 1 year after the other, actually is what was the major contributor to my artist block. Because I had, after putting so much creative energy into something, I need a pause. That's just how I personally.
Yes, but do you take part in a group exhibition?
So yeah, I would take part in a group exhibition or one that requires 1 or 2 pieces, but I wouldn't do a whole collection for a show.
Right. And there are quite a few during the year in Trinidad, I know.
Yes. I'm seeing a lot more these days, so that's exciting.
Yes. Okay, thank you. And how can viewers see more of your work online?
Sure. Well, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, and I also have a website. So if you're on Facebook, it's Gabriella D'Abreau Art. So spelling my name, GABRIELLA So that's Gabriella D'Abreau Art on Facebook. If you're on Instagram, it's much easier, much shorter name, at GabMakes, GABMAKES. And my website is essentially my name, Gabriella D'Abreau Art, right?
Okay. Thank you so much. So I'll put that information here on the video. And viewers can see more of my work too at JennylyndJames.com/art, JennylyndJames.pixels.com, and also on Facebook and Instagram at Art by Jennylynd James. That's Art by Jennylynd James. Remember to check out that course, Succeeding as a Fine Artist, Guidance, Tips, and Strategies. The link is in the description box, and hit that subscribe button so you can be notified every time we interview exciting artists from around the globe. Thanks so much again, Gabriella.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, bye everybody.
Bye.